Shalom, Hebrew. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York. The I.S.U.P.K today is run by Commanding General YAHANNA, man with the rank and the authority to be the leader of the nation at this time. I want to say Yahweh Sham Yahushai Barakatan to my brothers, Yahweh Shama Alatan Basham Yahushai to my sister. Now after a late start, so we're going to jump right into it. A little technical problems and things. They have changed the curfew times from 10 o'clock now to 8 o'clock. So that alter some works that we have to do. Can't go back on the road again after 8 o'clock. All right. Still in the book of Joshua. Welcome to our Wednesday evening live law class. Continue reading from the book of laws that was given to the nation of the Israelites, who are today the Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We used to call them again Apache Indians, the Seminole Indians, and the Seminole Indians. They are the tribe of Reuben. It seems as if Ryu. You know the hotel Ryu. How they spell it? R-E-U. R-I-U or R-E-U? R-I-U. Okay, all right. I wonder if it's them own it, because I understand them own a lot of things. Them Seminoles, they did into the white man. Bring a piece of that damn hot. All right, we're going right into the book of Joshua. Trust me, Jamaica is a hot place here. People in the States are wearing 3 and 4 clothes right now because of cold. In Jamaica, we actually want to walk naked because of heat. My word. All because of the heat. All right, Joshua 11. All right, Joshua 11. Joshua chapter 11.
The book of Joshua, chapter 11.
We're reading from 1.
From verse 1. And it came to pass when Jabin, king of Hazor, had heard those things, that he sent to Jobab, king of Madon, and to the king of Shimron, and to the king of I.S.U.P.K.
Now, this man named Jabin, when him hear about Israel and all the conquests and things that have been taking place, him now trying to gather the nation round about in his territory. And I think he's one of the powerhouses in that area. So I'm trying now to gather his troops round about to see if give me some of that on this. To see if he could come up with a coalition mighty enough. I'm gonna put some water on that already, so throw some ice on that. If he could come up with a coalition mighty enough to, what's the word you would use now? Counter, oppose, to confront, yeah, that's a better word, to confront Israel. because you have heard of all those things. They just call it those things, which you would have already read about in the earlier chapters. All right, so I'm calling on those king. Verse what are now? 3?
Verse 2.
2, okay.
And to the kings that were on the north of the mountains and of the plains south of Shinneroth, and in the valley, and in the borders of Dor on the west, and to the Canaanites on the east and on the west, and to the Amorite and the Hittite, and the Perizzite and the Jebusites in the mountains, and to the Hivite on the Hermon in the land of Mizpeh.
Mizpah. Yeah. So that valley that we were to go into is all these nations here talk the name in that we are to take on. All these are Amites. So it's not, and you're going to see how in the end we did not do what the Most High said, and we joined ourselves to these African people, just like we are doing today. Call ourselves Africans, and we are not Africans. We are not of the bloodline of Ham, we are of the bloodline of Shem. But when you say that, people say, then God make you all away. Yeah, God make you man who are oppressor too. Why you not call yourself white man? God make him too, And the Indian man and the Chinese man. Why you don't call yourself those nations? But the Most High don't want you to do that. He makes you into a family and he wants you to retain your family line. Maybe that's why in our nation, you realize how jacket run hard. Yeah, man. We love join ourselves to other people, so maybe we get so much jackets, So many, I wonder what's the term they use in the States? For a woman giving a man a child that is not his. Out here in Jamaica, we call that child a jacket. And I don't know if there's a term they use in the States. But maybe that's why we so much run in our nation. Because we love join ourselves with other people. I say, okay. You joining yourself with the African is just like giving me, the Most High, a jacket. Because they don't belong to him. All right, so where we are now?
Verse 4. And they went out, they and all their hosts with them.
Much people.
Much people, even as the sand that is upon the seashore, in multitude.
Wow.
With horses and chariots, very many. And when all these kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel.
All right, it's the same like how the Most High tell you that in the last days it shall gather the nations round about. That's what he is doing. That's what he did in the time of Joshua. Let them all come out to fight. Yeah, to come out to fight against you. So when you whip their ass now, guess what? It won't be said that is you come up and trouble them. They came out to fight against you. You see, the one nation at the time who was smart, gain a little smartness and come out and say, they better make we go make peace with them people, and come out with them old clothes and old and tattered clothes and steal food and thing and tell us they're coming from a country far and they come to serve the Most High God. They have heard of us and they come to serve the God of Israel. Only to find that they belong in the same land. But they already given them their word that, all right, yeah, we're going to make you're cool, man. We're going to make peace with you. So when they find out that they belong into the land. They said, well, what kind of thing this you do to us? Man said, well, you still give you your word. But none of that in this time. All right, so verse what we stop? What verse what? 3, 4?
We start
Yes,
at
4.
4.
Where it said they came out with chariots.
To look your story, we start at 5.
Horses, no? 4, it said with horses and with chariots. Okay. And when all those kings were met together, they came and pitched together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. So guess what? Those horses and chariots in today's day, they are more military vehicles today. Them Humvees and what else? Tanks. And then with a missile and thing. All right, 6.
Verse 6. And the Lord said unto Joshua, be not afraid because of them, for tomorrow about this time will I deliver them up all slain before Israel. Thou shalt hoe their horses and burn their chariots with fire.
What do you mean by to huff their horses?
It's hoe.
H-O-U-G-H. G-H would have been like a F-off, like tough and so on, trough and so on. H-O-U-G-H, look for that word. Hmm? Ooh. Variant spelling of hawk. You find it? Mm-hmm.
Variant spelling of hawk.
Mm-hmm.
One is known aspect of it, and the verb
which is the action. Action is
to disable a person or animal by cutting the hamstrings.
so chop them on their foot so they can't walk.
Is an example, is cattle or hawk in the night.
Right. So the Moses is commanding Joshua, but you notice that Joshua, listen to the Moses and him do things just like we tell him now.
Mm-hmm.
Verse what right now? 6. Right? Of their horses and burn their chariots with fire. So they come down with many horses. I tell us what? Cut those horses hamstring. Take them from off the chariots and burn the chariots with fire. And some of these kings that came down, their chariots were looking glorious. It was described, chariots plated with gold and so on. It looked wonderful. All right, so 7 says what?
So Joshua came, and all the people of war with him, against them by the waters of Merom, suddenly, and they fell upon them.
Right, so in other words, a surprise engine. But no, so much of them must be there, and so a man come up and you come surprise. Eh? They see when the Moses decides they must deliver somebody in your hand. I say the size of it, that's what I'm telling you. You see, when white man are going with today, and all the chariots that he has and the Judites in America. that kill Israel because them do to everybody, but it's like them target the blacks more. You know, it's the size, the multitude is nothing. Look how much of them came upon Israel there, and yet still Joshua was able to give them a surprise attack. Joshua came, and all the people of war with him against them by the waters of Merom. Suddenly, that's what I mean. That's what I mean by suddenly. They came upon them suddenly, give them a surprise attack, and they fell upon them. I mean, you know, by the time they spot them, sword start fling. All right, continue.
Verse 8, and the Lord delivered them into the hand of Israel, who smote them and chased them unto great Zidon, and unto
What's that? And unto
and unto Misrach Hothmaim, and unto the valley of Mizpah eastward, and they smote them until they left them none remaining.
So what that means? Yeah, you remember the show, which one you used to love watch again? Spartacus. Then Spartacus will fight and the vice is when I kill them all. Hey, that's what it means right here. None remaining. Kill them all. He killed everything that he saw. Who didn't get killed is who run. And Joshua did.
And Joshua did unto them as the Lord bade him. He houghed their horses and burned their chariots with fire.
So they didn't even take the horses that that they came with. You understand? The most I could have said, you can't take them and use them to pull your plow. He said, no, off them. Me that way, just chop their hamstrings so they can't move. They stay one place and but I don't think take them off a chariot, you know, from them burn the chariots with fire, the horses burn with them. Because it's killing the horses. But they chop the hamstrings so that they can't run, can't move. And they burned. And then what?
And Joshua at that time turned back and took Hazor and smote the king thereof with the sword. For Hazor before time was ahead of all those kingdoms.
All right. So Hazor was like America today. He was the head of all the other kings then. Just like we have America now, and they're on this side, but basically they're head of Europe. The only country in Europe that gives America any formal talk or competition. Well, two. Germany and England. Those two, the French, all of them subject to America, man. Them. But the most is pulling them apart. So they soon start, just a matter of time, they start attacking each other. And then when the Most High come now to free Israel, they will stop fighting each other and turn and seek to turn on Christ or seek to turn on Israel. Because they all know the economic power that we have within their economies, especially Americans. They wonder, all these people so poor if they have no economic power. Yeah, they are only poor because they take their wealth. That's the only reason why they are poor, or we are poor. All right, verse 1.
Verse 11. And they smote all the souls that were within, that were therein with the edge of the sword, utterly destroying them. There was not any left to breathe, and he burned Hazor with fire.
Right, so even the livestock, you know, when they go out to war in those days, probably not now, but in those days when they go out to war, they would carry live goats, live cattle, live cows. What else? Which other animal eat? Right, birds and chickens. And in their case, the Eden's case, they would carry pigs too. Right, pigs. Because they can't feed, they can basically feed the pig and anything, you know, so they carry them out with them. You know, those you know, those that they carry, you know what that was? Their food source. Their victuals. It's not like now where you going out to war and the foods you carry. The soldiers pocket foods and so on. But there's supply routes. So here you're not only destroying anything, you're destroying even their livestock supply that they carry to battle against you, to sustain them while they battle against you. So that is what you mean by you utterly destroy them. Kill everything that breed. If they carry a pet cat, you kill it. Even their pet puppies. All right, continue.
Verse 12. And all the cities of those kings and all the kings of them did Joshua take, and smote them with the edge of the sword, and he utterly destroyed them, as Moses the servant of the Lord commanded. But as for the cities that stood still in their strength, Israel burned none of them, save Hazor only, that did Joshua burn.
Continue.
And all the spoil of these cities and the cattle the children of Israel took for prey unto themselves.
Right.
But every man they smote with the edge of a sword until they had destroyed them, neither left they any to breathe.
All right.
As the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua.
So in some of the cities other than Hazor, what they took the cattle, so they don't utterly destroy and kill everything, right? They took the cattle and they took the wealth and kill out the man. The motherfucker man, woman and picnic here. Kill out them. Whatever man they smote with the edge of the sword until they are destroyed them. Neither left they any to breathe. It means a picnic and woman. Kill them out. Verse 15.
Verse 15. As the Lord commanded Moses his servant, so did Moses command Joshua, and so did Joshua. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. Verse 16. So Joshua took all that land, the hills, and all the south country, and all the land of Goshen, and the valley, and the plain, and the mountain of Israel, and the valley of the same, even from the Mount Hillock that goeth up to Seir, even unto Baalgad, in the valley of Lebanon, under Mount Hermon, and all their kings he took, and smote them, and slew them.
Right. The power also going after them because you're going to take their land. They don't negotiate with them. Yeah. That's why I tell you now that when and what happened in America on January 6th, January 6th, they saw knew what they were doing. Just that it wasn't all that organized. They were still trying to do it through the ballot. Because they go upon the capital to take the ballot, damage it, and have to run the election again. But they in some way understand warfare. The North didn't take the country from them, didn't take rulership from them by a ballot. There was no vote. And when the North took it, there was no talking about preserving democracy or anything like that. You understand? So people understand warfare. It's just Israel don't understand warfare. All right, verse what?
Verse 18. Joshua made war a long time with all those kings. There was not a city that made peace with the children of Israel, save the Hivites, the inhabitants of Gibeon.
Right, those were the ones who tricked us. With the Gibeonites were the ones with the tattered garments, torn and tattered garments, and the stale bread and things. And they were coming from a far place. But, when we leave from our country, this bread was fresh out the oven, and look at it now. That's how far we're coming from. So the Israelites believed them. So rather than they go and consult with the Most High, they come and say, all right, yeah, we give them the word, say yes. We're not going to do anything. Only to find out that these men belong to this very land that the Most High commanded us to leave nothing alive. Can't trust the heathens. Can't trust them. Continue.
All other they took in battle. That's another part of verse 19.
All right. So those children, the Gibeonites made peace. But every other city they took in battle. 20.
Verse 20. For it was of the Lord to harden their hearts, that they should come against Israel in battle, that he might destroy them utterly, and that they might have no favor, but that he might destroy them, as the Lord commanded Moses.
All right, so just like he is planning to do in the end times, utterly destroy those nations that will come up against him. But this time, who will be leading Israel? Christ. So it won't be slack. And the man come right now, because guess what? You see all those what do you call it now? Pressure that will come under while we were in the land, where the Philistines came up against us and other nations and so on and so forth. It's the same people who will leave and live amongst them. The same Africans who will live amongst. Because we have been moving with the Africans from the time of the Amites, from the time of, call it from birth. Well, yeah, because Abraham dwelt in the land of Canaan, the same land that we will get by conquest. Abraham also lived there. Abraham went in Egypt. Jacob was living there, went into Egypt. The Most High brought Egypt again is Amites. We spent about 400 years among that Amite tribe, the Egyptians. Come out, being among the Canaanites, who are Amites again. Some of them went against the Most High's will and make peace with them and sought to integrate with them. When you read further in Joshua, you're going to see it was a big mistake we made. But we have always been moving with the Amites, the Africans. Many times, yet Silver says, thinking African, ain't it? But they're like, eh? Let's think for true. But you're like, we love stench. Because we always wrote them. So much for today now we're saying, yes, we're Africans. until when some of us start to go into Africa now, we realize that, you know, them people is not, we are them people is not the same. Yeah, man.
But you don't even have to go into Africa to realize that they don't like you. Many of them are
who come out here.
concerned, and we have to work among them. And they despise us. They don't like us for whatever reason. They just don't like Jamaicans. They just don't like us as a people. They just don't like us. Maybe they themselves were not like us, don't even understand why they don't like us. But they really don't like us. So you don't have to go into Africa. They come to our country, then we have to work among them. We can see the rejection, and they want to speak down to you and you will anyhow.
It's just another oppressive tribe of people. Because of our nice human nature, all the other nations come and take disadvantage of us and go one side and talk about nigger fool. Not a fool, nigger just more human than them. And they have what's the word they would use? They have abused. They have abused our love, the love that we would show to them. They have abused it. All right, verse what?
Verse 21. And at that time came Joshua and cut off the Anakims from the mountains, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the mountains of Judah, and from all the mountains of Israel. Joshua destroyed them utterly with their cities.
So those that were called giants. So these are the part that many other people read and don't understand and say, oh, giant, you know. Yeah, man used to be big and something. But all these people are Hamites. All these people, all right, where is it? 21. And at the time came Joshua and cut off the Anakim from the mountain, from Hebron, from Debar, from so on and so forth. Mountain of Judah, from all of that. But all these Anakims were off from the lineage of Ham. So their father came in the ark, just like the Shemite, just like Shem and Japheth. But even now, you have some tall people, Africa, if probably can find it on YouTube too, you know. Some tribes that maintain, just like we have the short one they call pygmy, they have some tall ones. And they maintain themselves within a tribe. And they carry themselves as if they were kingly at some point too. Right? But all these big ones that have to make sure you kill them out, you know, because if we should lose our way and fall under these people, and it will be worse than it was. So Joshua killed them out. Because they were taller than, if you breed two tall people, you're not going to get a dwarf child. Chances are you get tall humans. And if you keep breeding tall people to tall people, you're going to end up with taller people. Look at Michael Jordan. You know some of them basketballers then take hormones. Many of them, they said they took growth hormone and caused them to grow some more. I don't know. You know that? Basketballers. And their hand look bigger than normal. But you look like a Patrick Jordan or Patrick Ewing, one of them taller basketballer, as opposed to tell me a short man. Tell me a short person. Famous short person. Who everybody might know. What is comedian name again, man? I'm short. Come in now, show. All right. What name? Lawrence. Lawrence, the one who used to come in oh gosh, in one comedy. The comedy name again used to come on Sunday. Martin. Yeah, Lawrence. Martin Lawrence. Martin is a sharp man, you know. They put a Martin against I think there. Jamaica Jordan. Jordan look like a giant compared to him, don't? So that's it. Just like the Judites. Many of the Judites today, they come like towers. All right, so that's basically what was happening in those days. They had the Anna Kings. Plus, the food that they were eating in those days was way more potent than now, anyway. All right, so we're at 22.
Verse 22. There was none of the Anna kings left in the land of the children of Israel, only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod there remained. So Joshua took the whole land, according to all that the Lord said unto Moses, and Joshua gave it for an inheritance unto Israel, according to their divisions by their tribes, and the land rested from war.
So Joshua managed to bring Israel to rest. Because once from the day we touched foot in that ladder, it was war and war. No rumors of war, real war this time, But Joshua gave them rest in that, you know, even though the job wasn't complete, you know. Because even when Joshua died, the job still wasn't completed. But we get to rest. We were able to rest at peace. No nation not trying to come up against us. Any war that was made is must we make it. All right, that's chapter 11. All right, go over to 12.
Joshua 12 and verse 1. Now these are the kings of the land which the children of Israel smote, and possessed their land on the other side Jordan, toward the rising of the sun, from the river Arnon unto Mount Hermon, and all the plain on the east. Sihon, king of the Amorites, who dwelt in Heshbon, and ruled from Aroer,
which is upon the bank
of the river Arnon.
All right, so these kings now were the ones who were defeated in the time of Moses. It's pure king we're taking up, pure crown we're taking up. From the time of Moses to Joshua, probably killed 40 odd kings, you know, which would have been about 40 odd countries, about some 40 odd rulers. Continue.
And from the middle of the river, and from half Gilead, even unto the river Jabbok, which is the border of the children of Ammon. And from the
who the Ammonites are today? The Japanese, right. Continue.
And from the plain to the sea of Chinneroth, on the east, and unto the Chinneroth
on the east.
On the east, and unto the sea of the plain, even the salt sea on the east, the way to Beth Jeshimoth, and from the south on the Ashdod Pisgah, and the coast of Og, king of Bashan, which was of the remnant of the giants that dwelt at Ashtaroth and at Edrei, and reigned in Mount Hermon, and in Salcah, and in all Bashan, unto the border of the Geshurites, and the Maachathites, and half Gilead, the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon.
Then so Moses slew all those. Well, they got slew. It was Joshua, you know. It was still Joshua fighting on the Moses time. I think Joshua was Moses' general. All right.
Then did verse 6, then did the servant of the Lord and the children of
Then did Moses.
Then did Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the children of Israel smite. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave it for a possession unto the Reubenites, and the Gadites, and half tribe of Manasseh. And
Manasseh.
Verse 7, and these are the kings of the country which Joshua and the children of Israel smote on this side Jordan on the west, from Baal-gad in the valley of Lebanon, even unto the Mount Halak, and goeth up to Seir. That goeth up to Seir.
That's Mount Seir. And you know who was in Mount Seir, right? Who? Who? The Esau generation. No, the Edens is everybody else who is not Israelite. It was Esau's. That was Esau's peace. I think that's what the Most High gave to Esau, Mount Seir.
Which Joshua gave unto the tribe of Israel for a possession according to their divisions. Verse 8, in the mountains and in the valleys, and in the plains and in the springs and in the wilderness, and in the south country, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites.
All these nations were Hamite nations. The children of Ham were the ones who gained that valley after the flood. So that valley is like the most fertile valley on the earth. Yeah, that peace that the Most High give us, and which the other nations have now. It's like the most fertile valley anywhere on the earth. So, but it was given to Ham. Continue.
Verse 9, the king of Jericho won, the king of Ai, which is beside Bethel, won, the king of Jerusalem won, the king of Hebron won, the king of Jarmuth won, the king of Lachish won, the king of Eglon.
So all these are hold on.
The king of Gezer won.
All these are our the kings that Joshua slew, right?
Continue.
All these are the kings that Joshua slew. Joshua slew these kings and took their the place that their name is. It would be like a country. Eglon, Gezer, Debir, Gidar, Arma, and they have kings reigning over them, and they have cities to those areas. Some of these areas have maybe 3-4 cities. It's not hard to believe. Look at Jamaica. Jamaica is not that a huge country, and we have how many cities? We have 2 cities out there. All right, continue.
The king of Debir,
Right, 13.
1, concerning. The king of Geda, 1. The king of Hormah, 1. The king of Arad, 1. The king of Libnah, 1. The king of Adullam, 1.
King of Makeda.
The king of Makeda, 1. The king of Bethel, 1. The king of Tapua, 1. The king of Hefer, 1. The king of I.S.U.P.K, 1. The king of Lasharon, 1. The king of Madon, 1. The king of Hazar, 1. The king of Shimron, 1. The king of Akshaf, 1. The king of Teanach, 1. The king of Megiddo, 1. The king of Kadesh, 1. The king of Jokneam of Carmel, 1. The king of Dor in the coast of Dor, 1. The king of the nations of Gilgal, 1. The king of Tirzah, 1. All the kings, 30 and 1.
31 kings. Tirzah. Tirzah was a place. No, somebody with people having that name today. All right, so Joshua, the Moses put Joshua on a conquest, conquered in his time. We being limited by foot and we conquer all those nations. If you notice, we didn't conquer the Ammites. Listen, we didn't conquer the Hamites. Sorry, the Ammonites. We didn't conquer the Ammonites. Who? The Japanese today. We didn't conquer the Moabites or the Chinese today. We didn't conquer the Israelites. Ishmaelites. We didn't conquer the Ishmaelites. Which other one? We didn't conquer any of the Japhetites. It was just the people within that leading from the two great rivers there, Tigris and thing there, down to Jordan. And we didn't even reach up to Tigris. What's the other river that is up there? Tigris and which other river again? Jordan up that side. The same two rivers that run through Iraq, ancient Babylon. River Tigris and Euphrates, right? We ain't go all the way up there, so. But Jordan coming up, all that valley, 30 odd kings. And before we go across the Jordan, Moses conquered some more. So we took all the countries that, and why was there 30 odd kings within that valley? Because the valley was fruitful and could, right, thank you, with wealth and food and could sustain all these, but they were all Ammonites. They were of no other nations. All right, so in those days, you see where the Messiah went on a conquest, conquering nations to give his people rest in his land. This era on the earth is called the Most High's portion. That's God's portion. That is why you find, all right, when we got kicked out of Jerusalem, look how much of the nation took over that land. But you have to know to live in the land. You don't know to wild animal come up on you. Or your people then just start dying, you don't know what's killing them. People that live within that portion of land have to follow the Most High's laws, or you can't live long on the land. That's why we got kicked off as well. The Hamites got kicked off because in the time of Noah, yeah, the 3 sons were following the laws. And then they stopped, went wayward. Who forgot make Babylon? Okay, I remember Babylon was right up between Tigris and Euphrates there. And that was an Hamite who started Babylon, an Ethiopian who started Babylon, right? And you have Egypt, you have the land of Beersheba, and then the Libyans, or the land of Foot. You know, they say Foothites, I've never read much about the Foothites going out to conquer anywhere. Egyptians and the Ethiopians, they are the two strong Amite tribes who are always conquering and setting out to conquer. Canaanites, they got their ass whipped from this time. Jebusites and Hittites and all those are just some half-true of Canaan. All these are Canaanites. Because the Egyptians were already up there, the Ethiopians were down here. This was the land that was given to the Canaanites, so all the offshoot of the Canaanites who went off from the mainstream and formed countries and kings and so on. They got kicked out. And guess what? Most High will be doing the same thing again. Go to Joel chapter 3. In these end times, you know, the same thing you'll be doing again. Right?
Okay.
Joel 3, 1 to 16.
Joel chapter 3, verse 1.
But guess what? What's the difference this time? The Most High back then judged mainly it was one nation of people, just offshoots, mainly the Canaanites. But this time, it's all the nation of the earth will be judging. Why? Because they have all hurt us this time. Continue.
Joel 3, verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
What do you mean by that? When I shall bring, you know, this when you're talking about the last days in the Bible, it refers to it as those days. And in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem. What do you mean by bring again? It means that it is your freedom. Bring about your freedom. Right? 2.
I will also gather all nations.
So that time when he will be freeing Judah and Jerusalem, he will be gathering all nations and
will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
All right.
Please.
It's the same era that Joshua, same place that the time that they came upon us. Same region. So he said, this time will bring all nations there. Get their ass whipped. All right. And at what time did they came upon Joshua? When Joshua was in the land. So it's the same thing they're going to seek to do again. When they come down that region and Christ come down that region, they are going to seek to come up against us. Because what? They're going to say, wow, so slaves came back in our country. Continue. Read 2 again. Start from 2 again.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land.
All right. So, how were we scattered? By slavery.
By slavery.
So, even though the Most High is saying, go and scatter away among our nation, you know, Christ tell you that, what if they must come again, but woe to want to bring it? And not tribulation, he say, not atrocities. No, not atrocity. That's not the word he used. Christ says, something that must come, but will be unto the man who bring it. For instance, the word would have mean like tribulation. So tribulation must come, but woe be unto the man who bring it. So even though the Most High say about scatter away among our nation, woe be unto the nations who did scatter us. Because they didn't take you and go and give you somewhere nice to live or whatever. They took you for slaves. Yeah. They have, and so for that reason, he'll be pleading with all those nations. So you see, the nation got to pay for some things that they have done thousands of years ago, whom they have scattered among the nation and have parted his land. And when was the land parted? It's in modern history. Recent history, 1948 coming up, when Jerusalem part for the Jewish people and part for who? Palestinians. That's the parting of the land. Jerusalem has never been parted. You know. It has always been one. Even from the time of Joshua, it was always been one. But these idiots come now and part the land. And the Most High have them for that. All right. So you see, even when this was prophesied, it then parted. That Jerusalem is now two states, when it should be one. So that was what even some of the Jewish people were arguing it, that why either you take it from the Palestinians and give me, or the Palestinians then beat you and take it one way, but it should be one. All right. Verse 3.
Verse 3. And they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for an harlot. So
they have gambled for the people. That's why they're casting lots for them. Who get who? And I've given a boy for an harlot. And harlot is what? Right. Turn the boy them in a gay. And sold a girl.
And sold a girl for wine
that they might drink. So sell two women are prostitutes, and there are many prostitutes too.
Verse 4. Yea.
Bring us into homosexuality. Yea.
Verse 4. Yea. And what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon?
These were two cities back in the days, you know, near Lebanon there, I think. These were seaside cities. Not around again. But the Most High promised them restoration. There's many of those groups who they call terrorist groups in those areas. They are remnants of these old ancient cities. You know. For instance, Hezbollah. You have one Hezbollah, and so on and so forth. These are people who know they're like how we become lost. They know who they were, but they just not they don't have government for themselves. But it is promised restoration unto all these ancient cities or countries. They'll be restored. What have ye to do with me? Tyre and Zidon, two other Amite cities, and all
the coasts of Palestine.
Right, sea coast. Will
you render me a recompense?
Are you going to recompense me?
And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily will I return your recompense upon your own head.
Mm-hmm.
Because ye have Verse 5, because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly, pleasant things. The children also of Judah and the children of Jerusalem have ye sold unto the Grecians, that ye might remove them far from their border.
Right, so these cities, after we living in the land, and we went and did what the Most High tell us not to do, we offer them quarters, we offer them peace, when the Most High tell us to take them out. All the tribes who inherited the land, we didn't wipe out the people out of the land. We made them to serve us. We took them for tributaries, meaning we just tax them and we live off them. But the Most High told us not to do it because it's going to come back and haunt you. But you know, we always think we know more than God. That's Israel's biggest downfall. So we went and made them tributaries. But here now he's saying what?
Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head.
So these same people now catch we out a little bit. When they come upon we, and us, they join with the other Eden nations. They are the ones who come in the land and catch us and sell us and do this and do that and show them the way how to get into our land.
And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the land, into the hand of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabians, to a people far off, for the Lord hath spoken it.
All right. Sabians are one of the far, there were some far people, far off country. Right. Proclaim.
Verse 9, ye proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. Prepare war, wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up, beat your plowshares into swords, and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong.
All right, so this is the Most High know when he's going to prepare them, steering them up now with him. See demonstrations all over the world and things, and angry at their government and things. The Most High started this steering. You see the shutdown on cities and things in the West here. It's going to lead us. The West was economically viable, you know, but the money is going to drain to the point when they come and knock on the door for war, they have to just go and fight because the banks in trouble, can't print enough money. You can't just print money and give out, so it's going to come back and cause an inflation within the country after a while. So the only thing they have left now is their military. Have to take them out to fight. And by fighting and killing off some people, then you bring back the economy. Believe it or not, that's the way it goes. That's warfare. All right? So, but it is Most High will be stirring them up. That is here what he's doing now. Assemble yourself. Come all out. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hook into spears. Because they, since World War II, and Great War no fight. World War II was from 40 something. Yeah. How much years that now? 60 and 70 and we are in 20 something. Going almost 80 years, you know. And believe me, this world don't go too long without a war, you know, without a major war. So one is coming up. But that one that is coming up is the Most High that is stirring up the nation to fight. And when they fight, they're going to fight amongst each other until they reach into the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right, continue. Verse 10. I'm going to read 11 now.
Verse 11. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened, and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about.
So, when the Moses is going to judge them nations, you know, the Moses judgment is war. You know, this earth is very lucky that the Moses has been so quiet for approximately 400 years, you know. And he's quiet only because, and the world has been at peace for so long. But the Moses himself has been quiet. Why? Because his people is under punishment. But now that his people is out of punishment, my, he's going to be stirring up these nations. Continue. That's when it starts.
Oh, that's when it started.
Probably. Yeah. Okay. Well, probably about 4 years it lasts for it. By the 40s, 40 something, it finished. And that was how they were able to put Israel, the white men, the fake Jew, in the land, 48. Mm-hmm. And one of the worst things that the hypocritical Christians knew that these are not the most high chosen people. But they go along with the narratives for economic gains. Just like what they wanted to kill Christ for economic gains, to maintain their economic gain. So they go along with the narrative now for economic gain. So the Most High is going to punish them. Mm-hmm. Of course.
Off the backs of the poor.
All of them will fly in jet and thing. Who's money by it? Yeah. And that tape that we were listening to this evening, that Officer Kayar once said, it was what they tell him. What was the man saying? He's from the Adventist church, you know. And he knows that the true Jews is black. Now, if him and the church didn't fall out, he wouldn't be saying it now, would he? Right.
They play the hypocrite and the rebels.
Exactly. But just like old times saying, if you don't squeeze hands, you don't know what is in their gut. So the Most High, you see, so he's working against the church, you know. That's why I say, you and I, we can't go up against the church. You and I going up against the church is like we're going up against coronavirus or one of them diseases that the Most High send. Is the Most High send that strong delusion just to see we can't go up against it. The Most High will bring them down. So you see, this one now will come out and talk, yeah, we can jump on his thing that he's saying and thing. We can send out videos and talk and so on. But to say you're going up against the church, you're gonna get squeezed. Because it's the Most High, just like I'm saying the virus and thing, is him allow them to reach where they reach. Mm-hmm. So you never hear the UPK say they're going up against church. If a pastor come out and say they want to debate the UPK, they take on the debate. However, we go up against Islam, don't we? Yeah. We never go up against the church. Like how today. Not that they are righteous, but that is strong illusion or delusion that the Most High put in place. He will take them down. It's when they crumble and the stones begin to fall, then we speak. Then we speak. When they, like this man will come out now and say he want to get the 7-day handbook, but the law of the land, disband it, and then burn it publicly. Well, he might not get that, but if he get that, then we know that the Most High is indeed now working at the church, working against them. So, and he will, because his people is now rising and being awakened. And that's what he wants in this last days. All right. We're reaching 11.
We're now at verse 13.
We're at 11 already. 12. 12 said, let the heathen be wakened, right? And come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat. What do you mean by being wakened?
Let the heathen be wakened.
Yes, and know who they are. Because many of the heathen now singing the narrative about in Jamaica, out of many one people. In America, big melting pot. We all are one. So he's now going to show them that they are, all of you not the same. Then they will be awakened. And they will know, just like it was in Joshua time when every nation know themselves, they are going to know themselves again. Continue.
Verse 13. Put in the sickle.
The sickle is something that you use for harvesting. It's like a tool, a hook, and like that they use for harvesting back in the day, harvesting wheat. Right? For the harvest is?
For the harvest is ripe.
Good.
Come, get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great.
All right.
Multitudes in the valley of decision.
So in the time of Joshua, it's the same thing it says. People, the nations who assembled against Israel was many great, was many nations, a great many nations with horses and chariots and this and that, all the weapons of war. And yet still, we were able to go down and meet them and surprise them, because they were looking that they would be the ones to come against us. Continue.
Verse 14, multitudes in the valley of decision. For the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. The sun and the moon shall be darkened, and the stars shall withdraw their shine.
So he's giving you this scenario that will happen in that time. 16.
The Lord also shall roar out of Zion, and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. For the Lord will be the hope of his people, and the strength of the children of Israel.
All right, so that's Christ who will be leading the army of the Israelites in that time. Right? That's verse what?
Verse 16.
Verse 16. All right, go down to. All right, let's jump before we go to Joel 17.
That question. The question on verse 15. The sun and the moon shall be darkened.
The stars shall withdraw their shining. This is describing that even the heavens. You remember any time when Joshua, when he was taking down some kings, he commanded the moon, the sun to stand still. So even the heavens will be obeying.
He's talking about
the heavens being on our side. You not even want no moonshine. Maybe we don't require no moonshine because we're going up on a nation, so we want darkness, right? Stars will, and at that time, the stars won't be shining for some reason. We don't know how the battle will stay. But even the heavens will be obeying Christ. So Just like when a nation going up on when they come in, when a nation coming and by sea, when they reach not too far from the shore, they have something with them fire, poof, 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 and the smoke up the place. So you don't actually see when they touch the shore, and they come in the darkness. So probably it's a similar scenario. We just dark up the place and moving, and then just like when they been going in Tivoli. The Tivoli invasion is that they're going in. Just turn off the light and going in the dark. Soldiers going in the dark. Man, then can't see nothing. Street light, everything gone. And I think it was a dark night too. So it's a similar scenario. We take them by dark. Take them under the cover of darkness. Surprise them. So it's not even their night vision goggles. And probably they won't even remember to carry that. So probably that's the most I telling you. Oh, the battle will be fought. Going on them on the cup. When they gather themselves in the valley, waiting to fight, then boof. When they expect sunshine today, no sunshine, place dark, no moonlight, no nothing. And we just come over them under the cover of darkness. Listen, the most I will tell you how you go and bust your ass and still bust, and you know how, and you go and still bust your ass that way. Because what? Everything is written already. And the Ethans have it and they read it, but that's the way they're still going to be fought. And they can't do nothing about it.
The reason why they hide, they keep us in darkness for so long.
No, them keeping you in darkness is so that you don't be awakened. So that the most I see necessary to fight for you. For as long as you're asleep, but they can't do anything about it now. The ball start rolling all along now. And our people are being awakened since 1969. There was no fake Israelite group, well, except for the Jewish people, but there was no fake Israelite group among our people. Each time you have a fake Israelite group is when you have some, like we the truth reach some crossroad where some serious decision has to be made. And then some agree, some don't agree. Those who don't agree, them go away. And they go and form other groups. That's how you end up with them. Name them. Much of them you know. Ever so often you see another one pop up, and then you don't see anything about them. Yeah, because their aim is monetary gain. So if money is there, then many times the money divide them. And some might say, boy, we can't stay so long and not get no money. And leave. Go again. And then some say, I should be the one in charge of the money. Who knows what split them? But they are split. It centered around them many times is money. Just like the church. Right. Just like that man was revealing about the 7-day church. Well, maybe he's one of the ones that has been called, because obviously, even though he was among them, he has bowed his knee to them. He's not a part of them. So if I was him, I would search for the truth and find the UPK. Humble himself and find himself in the truth. All right, take me to Acts 2:19 and 22.
The book of Acts, chapter 2, verse 19. And I will show wonders in the heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke.
All right, so this is the most I tell. It's the same thing that was in Joel, you know. So what you're reading about in Acts Some of the church make it seem as if the New Testament is clear cut from the Old Testament. But it's the same things that the prophets in the New Testament. Acts here was written by, I think, Peter, right? And the same thing as well. It was in Joel. They would have had the book of Joel already. Continue.
Verse 20. And Slakia, the sun shall be turned into darkness, and the moon into blood, before that great and notable day of the Lord come. And it shall come to pass.
Isn't it the same thing, you see? The sun into darkness and the moon withdraw its light. And the stars gone, eh? Same thing. And
verse 21, and it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Verse 22. All right.
So that, when this one is describing that day when Moses is about to take the earth. And then
verse 22.
Those of us who call upon him shall be saved. Continue.
Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Jesus of Nazareth, a man approved of God among you by miracles and wonders and signs, which God did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know him, being delivered by
22, sir.
By 22?
We'll stop at 22.
Continue.
So it's describing a similar scenario where the Most High will be taking the earth for his people's sake. And why is he doing that? One, he created the earth. Two, he chose a set of people to lead, to rule the earth, or to be the leaders in the earth, who are the Israelites. Other people has taken them, show no respect, desecrate them, enslave them, being scattered in all the existing countries of the world, yet none of them showing your love. There's not one of these countries that says, let me take care of the Israelites that are among us and show them some mercy. Not one. So that's why the Most High is going so hard on the other nations. Because we at first believed that these were nice people. So we disobey what God said, and we say, but some nice people these ones. So how comes we treat them, how should we utterly destroy them as God said? How should we keep them under subjection? These are nice people. And the Most High let us fall in their hand. And then you see that they are not nice people. Then these are not people who can survive around. You just, well, they survive. You can't really live. Can't enjoy life around them. They don't want to see that. Ever so often they let one or two gain something. Understand? All right, continue. Oh, we finished. Go back to Joel 3, now 17 to 21.
Joel chapter 3, verse 17. So shall ye know that I am the Lord your God dwelling in Zion, my holy mountain. Then shall Jerusalem be holy, and there shall no strangers pass through her anymore.
Why?
Why?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now you have
there shall no strangers pass through her anymore. Right now what happened is strangers being passing through, right?
Concern.
Strangers come take over the place, ruling there, and so on and so forth. So tell them that not going to happen again.
It is being revealed here that they are not the true inhabitants of the land.
Thank you. So those who parted the Most High land is not the Israelites. So that if you read the Bible and understand, you will understand that those who are there now is not God's people. So all who want to go and marry a Jewish woman and believe that they're marrying the Most High people, you're marrying yourself and joining yourself to a heathen. That's Esau's descendant. Continue.
Verse 18. And it shall come to pass in that day that the mountains shall drop down new wine, and the hills shall flow with milk, and all the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters. And a fountain shall come forth of the house of the Lord, and shall water the valley of Shittim.
So, this is describing glorious times, isn't it? This is describing a glorious time. Mountain shall drop down new wine. The mountain normally require government, means government, or it could be talking the mountains of the land where you have the vineyards. Hills shall flow with milk. But this most likely look like governments. The bigger government is mountains and the hills where you have the princes and so on. So even them, and the rivers of Judah shall flow with waters. And the fountain, you know, there was a fountain that flowed from under the temple. We call it the healing stream. Yeah.
So I'm just trying, is it speaking of government, or is it that because these persons who are in the land were strangers, then when the Most High made it separate and new, then the land will bring forth, when you say the land will bring forth new wine, milk and honey, and fountains of water, right, in the valley of Shittim. Is it because the place is made anew and he has pushed out the strangers from among the land?
And the land gaining back its strength. And that so you burn, because a lot of fire will be burning, and a lot of, it tell you that these nations are going to become dung. Yeah, you want to fertilize back the soil. So exactly, so enrich the soil again. The proper word, enriching the soil again. That could be it. Probably is it. But mountains I want to refer to government. Because when we were in the land, you know, the government that the Most High put in place, or that we had asked for, in many times helped the people to go astray, led the people astray. Because sometimes the kings closed the temple. There was one who reigned for 50 odd years. If him touch the throne, him close the temple, and bring all sort of idolatry in the temple. Because the temple was huge, you know, so you can section it and bring more than one idols in the temple. And that king did more evil than any other king. It's like he went against all that the Most High say. So using power to fight against God, basically. That's the worst thing you can do. So this time, the mountains who are the governments won't be doing that. Won't be doing things like those. All right. 19.
Verse 19. Egypt shall be a desolation, Edom shall be desolate with a desolate wilderness, for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. But Judah shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation.
All right, so Egypt here, I'm talking about the children of Judah under Edom. This could be America. America is called Egypt in the last days. The Edomites are the ones who are ruling over it, and they have the children of Judah right there under subjection. Yeah, killing them innocently. So this is talking about America. But Judah
shall dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation.
So this is the Most High giving you hope, let you know that even though you see that they're killing Judah and things, yeah, they are going to be, they shall dwell forever. For
I will cleanse their blood, that I have not cleansed, for the Lord dwelleth in Zion.
right. So these love that these people don't have for the Most High, I can believe it or not, they don't love God. God dance and hear them, oh, no, if you love God, put your hand up in the year, and you see the entire dance, I said so. Tell them to stop people, tell them to stop this, stop that, the thing, tell them not to do the things that the Most High like, and see what they tell them. Not to do the things that the Most High don't like, I should say, and see what they're telling. Yeah.
When it says, for I will cleanse their blood, that I have not cleansed, for the Lord will cleanse it.
The Most High cleansing their blood. They have a bad blood against the Most High. It's like all that they do is against the Most High. So the Most High tell them that He is going to give them a heart to love Him, and basically the entire body will be strengthened, right? So it's like a blood cleansing. The blood is like what flows through your vein, ain't it? Now Judah is the tribe that is the governing tribe, basically the ruler tribe, right? Now is them put most of the bad blood in the nation. The split that the two kingdoms had was because of Judah. Judah caused that bad blood between Ephraim and Judah, ain't it? They cause, they cause us to lose the land, basically. Them are the Levite. Well, you can't even so much blame the Levite, because the Levites, well, you can blame them in the time of Christ. Because the Levites were the more powerful one in the time of Christ. Because Judah has already wasn't on the throne, right? But the Levites was over the temple. So you can't blame them. But all in all, it's the southern kingdom. They are the ones who push the bad blood in the nation, dividing the nation. So we need a blood cleansing. So this is not talking about a physical cleansing of the blood, but all the bad vibes between the tribes and so on, cleanse them. Remove that. Right? All right, go to Joel 2:28 to 32.
Joel chapter 2, verse 28. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, your old men shall dream dreams,
All right,
and
stick
your
up
young
here.
men shall see.
Yeah, we're talking about the the 7-day pastor. And Officer Kairon said he told him about the UPK. Hopefully he watches the classes. Trust me, we don't have much hope in him doing all of that, you know. Because if they call him right now and say, okay, peace, here's $1 million, he probably gone back. Maybe not one.
Not because what I'm looking at is that you have spoken openly. So then there's some bad vibes.
Bad vibes. So you can't just go back on it.
You can't just go back talking about a legal issue.
And like it before the court already. And probably if it's the Most High doing it, then you know hearts is going to be hardened. He's going to harden the right one heart. So not to go back. The Most High moving against the church in these last days, man. You think as you want to be killed, this come up now, so the other things are going to come up. And at this time, it won't be quelled. So lucky warrior, so what you say, yeah. Tell him about it, leave him without leave him without an excuse. He will see it. If I put it in it, he'll probably have a ton of messages in his inbox by now. But send him the class, send him one of the class. Let him see it. and tell them these are the people of the truth. But we need to know some more about him. If he used to preach in a church and all that. All right. We are at what? Joel 2?
Joel 2 and verse 29. And also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit. And I will show wonders in the heavens and in the earth.
Right, so you talk about this, the same thing you talk about it. Wonders in heaven and earth. All right.
Blood and fire and pillars of smoke.
And we have seen that. Blood and, well, fire. Every year California burn and they get bigger and bigger, giving you these pillars of smoke going all the way up in the sky. The sun.
Verse 31, the sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood.
There it is again.
Before the great and the terrible day of the Lord come.
There it is again.
And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be delivered.
Isn't that what it says in Acts?
Concern.
Right, so Acts was quoting from who? Joel.
For in Mount Zion and in Jerusalem shall be deliverance, as the Lord hath said.
So Mount Zion and Jerusalem, is that all nation? When this was prophesied, who was in Mount Zion? Who was in Jerusalem? Israelites. Right. Who needed deliverance? Israelites. Who need deliverance now? Blacks, Hispanics, and natives. No widows, Israelites again. Blacks, Hispanics, and natives, and the native Indians. As the Lord
has said, and in the remnant from whom the Lord shall call.
The remnant whom the Lord shall call. So that is after the Most High kill out as much as they want to kill out. They didn't call up the remnants. Like I'm going for, he's heading for 2/3. You know, nobody to stand in the gap like 1/3 to take up, 2/3 to kill. You know, no one to stand in the gap this time like Moses and plead with him face to face. He's only through prayer now and he might not hear. I listen to him this time. I do what I'm doing what I know best. I know best. Be quiet. I know best. Because you stiff-necked people won't learn. So there's enough of you now. I can kill as much and still have many more to rule the earth. Don't play with God, you know. Don't play with him at all. There's not somebody to play with it. All right, any question?
Yeah,
okay. All right, so no questions on hand. We say a margin. We stand and see. Well, before a margin, we read the thing there. Before you stand, let me go through the. Let's see if we have time. All right, we will say the prayers. A margin, which means to stand. Stand and say the prayers. Seems as if he's coming out of the brainwashing, probably, because you know what he say? The blacks are the true Jews, true chosen people of the Most High, and the white people them is some sinful bastard people who the Most High despise and thing. That's like you know
So never did food.
Yeah, man. You know, like when somebody get you upset and you have secret for them and then you just you just blurt it out. Yeah, man. Lord's Prayer, Abanawa,
Abanawa,
Shabashamaya,
Shabashamaya,
Kodash,
Kodash,
Haya,
Haya,
Shampa,
Shampa,
Yahawa,
Yahawa,
Malakwata,
Malakwata,
Taba'a,
Taba'a,
Hatazaka,
Rakazaka,
Haya,
Haya,
Aisha,
Aisha,
Barataza,
Baratana,
Kawa,
Kaw,
Haya,
Haya,
Bashamaya,
Bashamaya,
Nathan,
Nathan,
Lanawa,
Lanawa,
Nakam,
Nakam,
Ka,
Ka,
Yawa,
Yawa,
Wasalak now,
Wasalak now,
Kawa what now,
Kaw what now,
Kasalak now,
Kasalak now,
Kawa what Yanawa,
Kaw what now,
Walaha,
Walaha,
Tabayana,
Sabayana,
Banasayawa,
Bansana,
Aba,
Abba,
Awashaina,
Shaina,
Maya,
Man,
Rai,
Rai,
Kaya,
Kai,
Laka,
Laka,
Amalakwa,
Amalakwa,
Wahahana,
Wahahana,
Watapahara,
Wakapahara,
Laolami,
Garulam,
Amen.
Amen.
In English, Our Father which art in heaven,
Our Father who art in heaven,
hallowed be thy name.
hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come,
Thy kingdom
thy
come.
will be done on earth
Thy will be done on earth
as it is in heaven.
as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our debts,
and forgive us our debts,
as we forgive our debtors.
as we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation,
Lead us not into temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
but deliver us from
For
evil.
thine is the kingdom,
For thine is the kingdom,
and the power,
and power,
and the glory,
and the glory,
forever.
forever.
So be it.
So be it.
All right, prayer for the curses. Blessed are you, Yahweh,
Blessed are you, Yahweh,
King of heaven and earth,
King of heaven and earth,
and all things living.
and all things living.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
in the name of Yahweh.
in the name of Yahweh.
Listen to us now,
Listen to us now,
right now.
right now.
Send evils and curses,
Send evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and destruction
to the heathens
to the heathens
that speak against us,
that speak against us,
thy prophets,
thy
the
prophets,
teachers, the
teachers,
princes,
princes,
the priests,
priests,
the Israelite brothers,
the Israelite brothers,
and the school.
and the school.
Send evils and curses,
Send evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and
to
destruction
the heathens,
to the heathens,
and shake loose the treasures
and shake loose the treasures
of the rich of Israel,
of the rich of Israel,
that refuse to give to the school,
that refuse to give to the school,
force their riches
force their riches
to enter into the sanctuary.
to enter into the sanctuary.
Send evils and curses,
Send evils and curses,
and punishment and destruction
and punishment and destruction
to the Edomites,
to the Edomites,
and the nations,
and the nations,
and their drug dealers,
and their drug
the
dealers,
court system,
court
the
system,
prison system,
prison system,
Planned Parenthood,
Planned Parenthood,
all the governments of our enemies,
all the governments of our enemies,
Amalek synagogues and armies,
Catholic synagogues and armies,
Roman Catholic Church,
Roman Catholic Church,
the Pope,
Pope,
Islam,
Islam,
Christianity,
Christianity,
Egyptology,
Egyptology,
militia, Ku Klux Klan,
Ku Klux Klan,
Aryan Nation,
Aryan Nation,
Skinhead,
Skinhead,
Posse Comitatus,
Posse
the
Comitatus,
gay movement,
gay
the
movement,
lesbian movement,
lesbian movement,
spies,
spies,
workers of witchcraft,
workers of witchcraft,
NASA space program,
NASA space program,
Army,
Army,
Navy,
Navy,
Air Force,
Air Force,
Marine,
Marine,
Wall Street,
Wall Street,
open up the internet,
open up the internet,
and the airways,
and the airways,
cable access channel,
cable access channel,
and the radio channel,
and the radio channel.
convict the spirit of any of thy people
Convict the spirit of any of thy people
that seek to stop us,
that seek to stop us,
and bring swift destruction
and bring swift
to
destruction
all the heathen
to all the heathens
that stand in the way,
that stand in the way,
or try to stop us
or try to stop
from
us
broadcasting your word
from broadcasting your word
throughout the planet Earth.
throughout the planet.
Let loose all the plagues,
Let loose all the plagues,
call them to go to and fro
cause them to go to and fro
through the earth,
through the earth,
and consume them.
and consume them.
Let the plagues shake
The plague shake,
the house of the thief
and also the thieves,
and the murderer.
and the murderers.
Let Yahweh shine,
Let Yahweh,
Michael and Gabriel,
Michael and Gabriel,
come down with the flying saucer
come down with flying saucers,
and punish all the heathens
and punish all the heathens
that come up against us
that come up against us
as we speak thy word.
as we speak thy word.
Cause it to be known by all
Cause it to be known by all
that it is the angels that have done it.
that it is the angels that have done it.
Cause it to be spread through the media,
cause it to be spread throughout the media,
throughout the whole world.
throughout the whole world.
Cause them to shake at thy coming.
Cause them to shake when they come.
In the name of Yahweh.
In the name of Yahweh.
Thank you always so good.
Thank you always so good.
Prayer for the poor. Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai.
Yahweh Hashem Yahweh.
Baba Kasha.
Baba Kasha.
Natanga now.
Nakana.
Akat.
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 Larpa.
Larpa.
Akal Makal.
Kal Makal.
Wakal Madal.
Wakal Madal.
Akat.
Akat.
Latahai.
Latahai.
Amatazari.
Amatadari.
Akat.
Akat.
Lahakwayam.
Nakwai.
Amatim.
Amatiam.
Akat.
Akat.
Irakala.
Irakala.
Atamana.
Atamana.
Agarashan.
Bagarashan.
Basham Yahweh.
Bahasham Yahweh.
Tawada Amen.
Tawada.
Yahweh in English, Yahweh in the name of Yahweh.
Yahweh in the name of Yahweh.
Please give us the power.
Please give us the power.
For to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
The power to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease.
For to cleanse the leper.
Power to cleanse the leper.
For to raise the dead.
Power to raise the dead.
For against unclean spirits.
For against unclean spirits.
To cast them out in the name of Yahweh.
Cast them out in the name of Yahweh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I want to put this on to the teacher. Madam Shabbat, Madam Barak, Yahweh, Masham, Yahweh Shabbat. Put salute to the sisters and the sisters. Madam Shabbat, and Madam Barak. Yahweh Shama Aratan Basham Yoshan.
Yahweh Shama Aratan Basham Yoshan.
Yaramatam and Zanzo as the case. And then darkness that I just reading about when Christ coming in, that's what he is coming into. Darken the place to come in.